my telephone kind of angle up so I could see the clock on it.
Okay.
Why do I need to look at this clock? Because I'm kind of used to looking at that.
Once again, having two different conversations at the same time.
Yeah.
How are you?
Ooh.
I am Melissa Fox at Stages of Life Radio. We do this on Sunday afternoons live, Doc.
Yeah, it's live.
Live, all right?
In other words, watch what I do. Yes.
No, I get a text yesterday afternoon. I don't remember.
I couldn't remember whether I'm live today.
I don't
It's just
know.
like anything else.
The wife is asking. It's not really me. I could care less. I just show up wherever. Yeah, no, it's Dr. David Klein. How are you?
I'm feeling pretty darn well, thank you. And it's another brilliant day in Florida.
It is brilliant. They actually used that weather that term in a weather forecast this week. Brilliant. I was like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know that we can top that.
Well, we got to do something to get the tourists back.
Indeed. It was so brilliant day outside.
Yeah,
We're going on holiday.
It's
Good.
nice and warm.
All right, so today Dr. Klein wanted to talk about several things, but I told him that's a bad idea, so let's just talk about these things.
Yeah,
That's a
go.
better idea. Because we were going to talk about, what was it? The things you can do as we started. Wait, falling asleep. Hold on.
To try to improve your situation for the new year.
Yeah,
what can we do to tweak you?
Put the kibosh on that conversation instead and said, hey, I have been talking to a lot of people, Dr. Klein, a lot of people who are not only on the front line first, not like me, I'm a first offender. But
There we go.
But first defenders and those folks that are right in the line, and they're saying they don't want to necessarily get the vaccine.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't understand the math behind it. I hear conspiracy theories. Most of them I can, shoot a hole straight through. But why? Why would they not want to take the vaccine for COVID-19?
Because there are a lot of people out there that are fearful. They're fearful of things they don't understand in particular. So what's the correction for that? What can you do to make that better? What can you do, or anybody do, to allow somebody to make a proper, intelligent, thoughtful decision? So we're looking at folks that are out there, right there at the front of it. Well, I am actually. I see 60 people a day. We haven't turned anybody away in that practice since January. In fact, we haven't turned anybody away at all. Period. We've been there every day of the week doing what we need to do. We're a COVID testing center, which means that if you're sick and you need to get tested, where would you go?
COVID.
You can't go to the
testing
emergency room. They don't
center.
want to see you.
Oh, no, they send you home,
They
especially if you think you have the symptoms.
Yeah,
They're
they
like,
kick you
get
out.
Get out.
Yeah, we only want to see people we know aren't sick. Oh, okay. Now, just remember that, okay? After this COVID thing is passed, when you need to go get treated by somebody, well, okay, good. You want to go see the people that are too fearful to see you and let you down for at least a year, if not 2. Go to the hospital. Support those guys. The thing that really frustrates me about the hospitals right now is they're taking care of themselves, their doctors, their food service workers. They're taking care of their their security people.
Rando.
Whomever's working there, their family, they call them, or their associates. But those of us in the community that are actually seeing the patients, not because they're not,
Are you?
we're
in
left
line?
out.
But wait, now you're right in that age group that you.
Well, the age is the only reason I'm going to get the COVID
going to say
vaccination
that's
at all.
it, right? Otherwise, you would have no opportunity,
No.
and yet you see up to 60 clients a day.
60 or more. And if you count the testing, we're doing 800 to 2,000 tests a day between my office here in Longwood and the one in Jacksonville.
There's a flaw in this math, people.
There's kind of an odd.
407-422-1212 if you have a question for the doctor. Just got a fresh text from Carol in Poinciana. She said, I don't want to be on the air, but I do want to talk to the doctor. I want to know if there are any supplements that she should not take if she has received the first of 2, mind you, the first COVID vaccine.
Brilliant question. And
Very
the answer,
good.
the answer is it doesn't really matter. Okay, so you can take the supplements as you're doing. That's probably your smart move anyway. Is there anything you should avoid? The answer is no. There's no anti-inflammatories that you need to take. They're natural or supplemental.
What about grapefruit juice?
Grapefruit juice is not going to bother you. Grape seed extract is not going to bother you.
Okay, just check.
So none of these things. So to answer your question, continue as you did. So one of the things about the COVID vaccination that I find to be most interesting is they give you this checkoff list of 20 or so questions. And if you answer positive to any of those, you have to go to the physician of choice, if you can find one that's open these days, to get a letter that says you can go. Now think that one over for just a second. As a consumer, what do you care? What I see is that they're punting the liability to the family docs. Does that make any sense? Okay, so we're not really sure what's going to happen, so we're going to not do anything until your family doctor assumes all the liability.
So who's running this down running this up the flagpole and trying to get away with it?
Beats the heck out of me. I'm just a simple country doc.
Oh, country doc, right?
Yeah.
But see, now I've checked with the various county departments of health here in the general Central Florida area, trying to get a feel because I have older folks by extension of friends, you and my and family.
I love it. Yes,
mother-in-law, and so I wanted to be on top of it for them especially.
Yeah.
And Volusia County said go to your physician
Right.
and find out whether or not you're eligible, whether or not you should get it, whether or not you should get a prescription for it.
there's no prescription.
I know.
But whether you should get it or not, okay, the answer is this physician to you and everybody who's listening
Get it.
is get it.
Get it.
You know, unless you are really, really interested in sitting in your house for another year or more. Okay, and that's a possibility.
There it was.
So there we go. Do you like running around with a mask over your face? You know, I mean, there's some people that's probably an improvement in some
And
ways. However,
we don't want to get
okay,
used to that.
we don't like it. Nobody likes wearing the masks.
Nobody,
it is not.
yeah, but
it's not-
don't get used to it. This is the
Don't
problem.
get used to it. So, well, we can't go on vacation ever again until this has passed. So what are we going to do with this thing? You take the vaccine. Suck it up. You know, this is just a matter of just not even heroism. This is just being brave enough to take an inoculation. They are not plotting against you. There are no nanobots, whatever the heck a nanobot is, in these vaccines. They don't care enough
very
about you to be
little-
plotting against you.
Right. Or, yeah, really. The
Well-
fact is, it's really general.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're going to be tracking where I'm at.
They don't
no, they
care.
do that
No,
anyway with your phone.
can
You
do-
can't
yeah.
turn it off. So,
Car,
in your
phone.
car, you've got more ways to be tracked right now. You're, in London, you're never without being on a camera. In
Yeah.
Washington, D.C., it's very much the same thing, and
Tampa
it's
was
coming
that
to a
way,
town near you. That's the way it is. So get the vaccine, and the only excuse for not doing it, okay, might be pregnancy. However, even if you're pregnant, you get a flu vaccine. Why? Because these things kill. So they're going to try to transfer the liability, impugned, real, just whatever it happens to be. You know, one of the things I most recently heard was, well, did you hear about, seventh cranial nerve palsy, sometimes known as Bell's palsy, following the inoculation? So no, I didn't hear this, but it doesn't really surprise me. So I went ahead and looked it up. It's 1 in 30,000. Now think that number. That's a fairly small number, right? The general population has a 1 in 10,000 risk of getting Bell's palsy. So what it means is that it's wrong. There is no increased risk. That's called relative risk. So if you increase your risk of coming down with something as a result of an interaction, medication, or procedure, that's called relative risk. So if your cholesterol is 220, you're at increased risk for a heart attack. The question you have to ask your doctor is how much increased risk? And most of them don't know, actually. That's the fun part. Well, you're at increased risk. That's all you need to know. Well, it might be 1 or 2%, 3 or 4%. So if it's 1 in 10,000, it's now 1 in 9,994. Okay, so congratulations, you really reduced your risk tremendously. So relative risk is the concept you want to learn about. Sure, you're at increased risk of dying of aircraft failure and catastrophic collision if you fly. Guess what? Okay, your risk of traveling is less. So what do you do?
Hey, Rayson wants to know if a person with autoimmune disease should get the vaccine.
I have autoimmune disease. I'm having my vaccine on Tuesday.
There you go. There's your answer. 23680 if you just want to text in a question for Dr. Klein. Or you can call, check in. Operators are on duty right now. 407-422-1212. We're going to take a quick break and pay some bills. Support our sponsors, please. Like Pharmacy Specialists over in Maitland. They will whip it up for you. Trust me. It's true. It's what they do. They're compounding. Easy now. Easy.
Yeah, you did it to me that time.
Right back at Stages of Life Radio. We're live. I think you're joking because I said whipped it up for you.
They'll whip it up for you. And I'm trying to
you.
think through that bunch.
They will. Hey guys, how you doing? That was actually Reese's question. She wanted to know if she could stop by and talk to you. Love to come in and talk
Sure.
to you.
We'll be there a week, except for when I'm going to get the vaccine on
Right.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Deborah says you're amazing, and Bob Maxwell
Oh, Bob
says,
Maxwell.
Happy New Year, old friend.
Well, Bob, it is good to hear your voice. Robert Maxwell. Bob Maxwell's up in Bethany Beach, Maryland. It's kind of a cool, or Delaware, pardon me. It's kind of a cool place.
I think I rolled through there many
good
moons
dude.
ago.
Yeah, good guy. Is a martial arts professional.
Cool.
Nationally, internationally awarded. Guy's good dude.
Good dude. See, look at that. That's the kind of references I want to get someday. Yeah, she's a good dude.
American Bondo
She's
Association.
not Bondo.
Bondo was the style. He was actually one of my teachers years
I thought
ago.
that was the stuff that you put in it to fix like
That's
the dents.
that's
and-
Bondo, and that goes in cars like my old car. It's very different. It's Burmese kickboxing. Very strange.
Very.
Yeah, back when I was really, really stupid. However, Bob, it's good to hear your voice, even if it's indirectly.
Yeah. Mine's trying to suck up now. Hold on, I'm doing math again. Oh, I did good math.
What you got?
Math. I'm no good with math. Let's see. Slab leak. Nope, that's not us.
No, that's not us. That's the house folks.
That is. Let's see. It looks like it's pretty much it for right now. We got a lot
All
of
right.
people that are just kind of sightseeing, and we only have about a minute
Well,
and a half.
One of the things I want to go over, I'm gonna do this again, hopefully in the next segment if we don't get distracted.
We do
Or what are
that.
the I know. What's the sort of things that you really want to do in the new year? What's important? What isn't important?
Checking.
COVID-19 has left a lot of people with COVID 20 pounds, 20, 25 pounds.
COVID,
So lots
35.
and lots of weight gain. Why is that? Well, I couldn't go to the gym. Well, when you go to the gym, you go once a week, marvelous. So you're going to burn 180 calories. That's a half a donut. Okay, we're not talking significant calories.
It's depressing.
So, yeah, it's the depression making you eat out of boredom. Now, I don't know about you, and I don't know about the listeners, okay, but I think I have seen everything worth seeing on Netflix.
Okay.
We have seen
Hey,
just about
I'm into
everything.
the Korean and Russian. And,
Oh,
yeah,
we're watching something from Denmark.
Oh no,
okay?
you're not. It doesn't end well.
Oh,
It's stupid ending.
it's-
Anyway,
the whole thing is stupid.
the whole thing is stupid, but you
Yeah.
stick with it, and it's
Forensic
what?
File reruns. We've seen them three
Me
times.
too. 10 episodes in, and you're like, oh god, you got to be kidding me. This is how it's gonna end.
Yeah, and precisely. So what do you do? All right,
Don't go in the water near the church tower.
that's it. Don't go into the barn with the chainsaws hanging.
Right.
Yeah. So what are we going to do in the new year? What are we going to do to improve our chances of
4
survival?
seconds to find out.
What are we going to do to make ourselves healthier? There we go.
Welcome back at Stages of Life Radio. We are live, and when I say live, I mean live, people. We are here in studio, my studio, Melissa Fox, broadcasting from the house. Yeah, it's how we do. It's true, though. It's true. It's how it works now in this time and age of COVID. It used to be like it was cool. I had my own studio, and now everyone's got
Heck,
their
I've
own
got one in the
setup.
office. It's much more fun to come here.
Yeah, well, thank you. Glad for that. That's Dr. David Klein, and his office is right off of I-4, 434 and Longwood. Beautiful Longwood. Just like literally on the other side of the road across the Four Rivers barbecue place.
Yeah, 13,000 square feet of cool.
Yeah, it is.
It's
pretty-
actually kind of a neat medical practice.
It is a really cool practice. You should stop by, and of course, they have a store where you can get nutraceuticals and such. They have aesthetics, so you can tighten up the hoo-hoo and other things like that.
Make yourself look pretty, or handsome in my case.
Or whatever it takes. Their phone number is 407-679-3337. If you want to write that down, that's fine. Otherwise, just go to stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com.
There we go.
Doc, you were talking. I don't remember because you're always talking. But what were we talking about?
Well, what we were looking at were what are the sorts of things in the new year? What can we do? What can we do to improve our chances? What can we do to improve our health? What can we do as we turn the corner with this COVID issue? So they're looking at the number of reported flu infections as being like 1/100th of what it was the year before. Do you think that flu went away?
No, but according to
didn't
the
go away.
CDC, the numbers are much lower.
Much lower. Do you think that it went away? And the
Of course
answer is
it didn't.
negatory Batman.
But who gets more money?
Well, you get paid as a hospital if it's a COVID.
Right.
Okay, if you're a pharmacy, you get paid more if it's a COVID treatment because if the patient can't pay for it, it comes out of the CARES Act, which is also kind of an interesting fiction. So, what do you want to do? How do we improve our life, our likelihood of making it through the next year? Well, there are a couple things you want to do. The first of which is to deal very, very aggressively with your eating disorder. And why do I think you have an eating disorder? Because the average person that's listening right now has gained weight. You don't gain weight unless you're eating too much. Even a lab rat, they'll sit there, you feed them, they don't gain weight unless you do something to them. They will maintain their weight. So what are we doing to ourselves? We are treating our own depression. What's the number one symptom of depression? It's actually sleep disorder. Okay, but then on down the list, number 2 or 3 is going to be eating disorders. So sleep disorder, eating disorder, and then comes anhedonia. So what do we want to do? We want to start setting ourselves up to start the weight loss process. And I did this myself. Why? Because I try to lead from the front rather than from behind. So I started on Christmas.
Okay.
So Christmas, Tess said, you're going on a diet.
Ooh.
So I can't really take 100% credit for this.
Oh.
It's kind of like it's not going to be in the refrigerator, so you're not going to eat it, which is a brilliant strategy. If you don't buy the junk, you are not going to eat the junk. That's a fact. So where did all the bread go? Where did all the bread go? It just disappeared. Where did all the cheese go? Along with the bread. Where did the nuts go? Where did the candy go? We had candy there because I've got these grandchildren and stepkids and whatnot, and they're coming around. They do this, they do that, and we have to feed them, entertain them.
Sounds like an excuse to me.
It is an excuse.
I know it is, because most of them don't even have teeth yet.
Where did it go? Exactly. Where did it go? Well, when you're 6 months old, you should not be eating peanuts.
Let alone hard candies.
That's the way it goes. Hey, let's watch the little guy choke.
So fibbing.
So what are we going to do? You pitch the stuff out, or you give it to somebody you don't like. It works beautifully. You have to get rid of those things that are known to fatten people up. And those things are the following. Fructose, which is corn syrup, that gets manufactured into things like maple syrup, as well as Coca-Cola, Sprite, all of these sweet beverages. Mm-hmm. You want to do away with soy and soy-based products, because that's how you fatten cattle. You give them cornmeal and soy meal, and they fatten 30% in 6 weeks. Then it happened to you too. So you get rid of soy, you get rid of peanuts, because peanuts also contain a good bit of these isoflavones, and the sugar carbohydrates. So what does that leave? It leaves protein. So what is the cheapest source of protein? Okay, soy. Okay, so what do you have to do? So you have to look it over and just to be a good consumer. Mm-hmm. If that's the cheapest source, what do you think you're gonna find in the protein bars, the protein powders, and these sorts of things? What about those marvelous meat substitutes, those veggie burgers? They will fatten your butt up so fast your head's going to swim.
So much sodium in there.
No, nothing to do with the sodium. It has to do with the fact that there's soy. That's where the protein came from. So you have to look for whey protein, pumpkin protein, or pea protein. Easy to remember. And when you do that, you avoid the isoflavones, which have names, daidzein and genistein. If you can assign a name to a beast or a demon, you know what you're dealing with. Otherwise, it's like, there's somebody out there that's out to get me. Put a name on them. Okay. If you can't put a name on them, they probably don't exist. In this case, they do.
All right.
So you want to avoid them, and wouldn't you know it, I've lost 3.5 pounds in 12 days.
Very
now,
nice.
Granted, okay, everybody, sure enough,
water weight.
No, it's actually glycogen, okay, in the liver. So what will happen is you're going to burn that, okay, and it makes you crummy, it makes you crabby.
I'm glad he hasn't been around me the last 3 days.
It's awful, and that process lasts about a week to 10 days, and after that, you start to make it through.
Right.
So if you can make it past the first 7 to 10 days, you're going to start doing well with it. So first thing you want to do is not decrease your basal metabolic rate, which is what soy does. It's an anti-metabolite for the thyroid. It lowers your temperature predictably and will put weight on you. The fructose is an inhibitor at the insulin receptor, and that too will cause insulin levels to go up, and that puts fat on you. Now, why do you care about that with COVID? And I'm going to swing this back to COVID. So somebody asks, well, do you have a problem with this disease or that disease? Well, I have a chronic illness. I challenge you to go to the mall and find anybody who doesn't have a chronic illness. Okay, that's just the way that it goes. Kids, adults, it doesn't make any difference. You think we're all at risk? What hasn't been done is separating out those that have the real risk from those that have the not so real. So what happens when you have an elevated triglyceride level? Okay, it's highly inflammatory. It does bad things to your liver. It does bad things to your blood vessels, brain, heart, and so that's really the risk of triglycerides. But at the 10th, 9th, 10th, 11th day of having a COVID infection, something magical happens and triglyceride levels shoot up. It's highly inflammatory, and that's when people go and take a sinker with COVID. So getting your triglycerides in and under control, getting them down, is going to put you at an increased. It'll make you safer. It'll make your resistance that much better. It'll make it less likely that you're going to be one of the people that falls at Gallipoli. So what are we going to do with this? Fenofibrate is a medication that you can take if you come down with COVID. So my patients are going to receive fenofibrate. So the data on this just came out last week. Fenofibrate, what does it do? It lowers triglycerides. Do I like using medications to lower triglycerides? It's faster and cheaper than my preferred way to do it, which is to lower insulin, which generally takes 6 to 12 weeks to do what needs to be done. But if you've got a situation where you may not have that long to live, I think I would rather start now.
Yeah, that sounds like
what
a
about
better
Plaquenil?
option.
People say, well, Mr. Trump recommended Plaquenil, hydroxychloroquine. What is it? It's an anti-inflammatory. What is it that's likely to kill you with influenza, coronavirus 19, plus the garden variety coronaviruses? It's going to be this inflammatory cascade, which, by the way, those of you that have those autoimmune disorders ought to be the first in line to get the Plaquenil, which is used, wouldn't you know, not only to treat malaria and prevent it, but for autoimmune disorders. So what happens? What's interesting about this is that all of these diseases and disorders seem to be interrelated. Who is at greater risk of dying from COVID? Well, somebody with diabetes. No, it's actually fat people. Why is that? Why does corpulence, why does, somebody with an extra 50 or 80 or 100 pounds, why does it put them at increased risk? Because they also develop something called reflux esophagitis. And so what do the doctors do for that? They give you Prilosec, omeprazole, Tagamet, and a bunch of these different medications that knock acid down. Acid is the number one, stomach acid, protection against coronavirus. So you drop your guard. So my buddy Bob Maxwell, who said a hello through the Facebook, I've taken a hit from Maxwell in the past. He was my martial arts instructor. What do you do if you drop your guard? You get kicked in the head. It's not a good ending. So if you drop your acid level in the stomach, not only are you at increased risk of coronavirus, but you're also at increased risk for food poisoning, bacterial food poisoning. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over these things and more after these important announcements, because again, that's how we keep the lights on.
It's coming. There it is.
Here we are.
Yeah, thank you for cueing the musicians. That was really well done.
Well,
you guys are on point. Thanks for not taking too long
I love
of a
these
break.
studio guys. They are good.
Most of the time they're on break. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Yeah, well.
Phone operators are waiting. 407-422-1212. And the text line is open to it, 23680. I am Melissa Fox. We're going to take a break and join our social media viewers on Facebook. They've got a few questions for us. And then we'll be back on the radio live in a hot minute or two. You are listening to Stages of Life Radio. I am Melissa Fox, along with Dr. David Klein on News Radio WFLA Orlando. I'm trying to find a button. Wait. And we found it.
Love it.
Yeah, I know. You tell it's very hard. It's like a teeny little
Well, that's
button.
a level, yeah.
All right, so Tony wants to know, we only have a 2-minute break. Tony wants to know why you have built up a tolerance to weed so fast. Medical marijuana, mind.
Medical marijuana? You have to look at what the potency is of what you're taking there. There's not a tremendous amount of, let's just say, assaying going on with this stuff. That's the first thing. The second thing is your medical grade marijuana is very, very low THC content. So I love this stuff. I mean, I don't use it, don't take it, don't care much for it. However, I was an analytical chemist in a past life. When you're looking at medical grade marijuana, especially the Charlotte's Web stuff, which is available here in Florida, very different from the marijuana that's available.
CBD.
No. It's a little bit different. Cannabidiols are not a regulated substance.
Cannabinoids, cannabidiols, it's so confusing.
It's not so much. So what happens, though, is that you're taking very, very little of it. And so if you're taking medical marijuana to get a buzz, then you're getting everything you're paying for. Okay? You're not receiving it. You're wasting your time and your money. Now, as a physician, I do in fact prescribe marijuana, except I don't do it the way you're doing it. Okay, I don't have one of these, licenses that the state flips out so you can go out there and get the stuff that's federally illegal. Why? Because I still have a license on my wall, actually 4 of them, that can be taken from me by some well-meaning state or federal individual.
34 seconds to stop covering your butt.
If I don't cover my butt. So what do? We
Welcome back to Stages of Life Radio every Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock until 5, live call-in medical show right here on News Radio WFLA Orlando. We also broadcast on the social media platforms of Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, etc. So we take social media questions during the radio breaks. It's like full service, my friend.
Yeah, we don't take a break. The term break really is relative here.
Not at all. And we're taking phone calls, and our call screener says we've got a good call that we should take.
They're all good.
Of course they are.
Everybody gets a trophy here.
It's true. So let's go ahead and talk to Pam. Hi, Pam. You're from Castleberry. How are you? Okay, turn your radio down and talk to us. Hey, darling, how you doing?
I did. I just turned it off.
Thank you. Perfect. Pam, it says you're 73 and you're on some. They want to put you on a statin. Is that right? Go ahead and tell Doc your story.
Yeah. I just saw the doctor, and he says my HDL is. My LDL is 199.
Okay, it's a bit heavy.
Twice what normal is. And so he told me I should be taking rosuvastatin. That's the brand name Crestor.
Okay, which is really better to bring down triglycerides. So what was your triglyceride level?
Triglycerides were 102.
Okay, which are fine. So he may not have picked the best medicine for you. Okay, just saying. So what's your total cholesterol doing?
Total cholesterol is 286.
Okay, so you want to get it down below, let's say, 210. One of the things about the local, in fact, all of the cardiologists I've ever met, is it doesn't matter how low your cholesterol is, they always put you on a statin. And that's just kind of pathetic. What does cholesterol do and why is it there? The thing about cholesterol is it converts from cholesterol to a hormone called pregnenolone. This is not just an academic or arcane discussion here. Pregnenolone is called the memory hormone. Now, when you hit the 70s and 80s and 60s in my case, you start wondering, what am I doing in this room? What's that person's name? And you think that the short-term memory loss is something that is just going to happen. It happens more frequently and happens with greater intensity with patients on the statins because it further reduces cholesterol, which has not converted from cholesterol to pregnenolone. So what you need to figure out is, why aren't you converting from cholesterol to pregnenolone? There's a reason. It wasn't always that way, now was it? So you did okay, and then something happened over the past year, maybe 2, since he saw you last and did blood work. Something has changed. The number one cause of elevation of cholesterol in the general population is hypothyroidism. Consider that for a second. So as we get older, hypothyroidism, especially something called euthyroid-sick, which is subclinical hypothyroidism, is about 1/3 to 40% of the population. If you live long enough, you will get it. So the first thing you really need to do isn't to throw a poison at you. The first thing you need to do is properly evaluate thyroid function. So thyroid function goes like this: production, destruction. Then you can do poisons, and you do competitors. So there are different ways that you can make somebody hypothyroid. So you can damage the thyroid itself. Radiation is a great way to do that. You can damage the thyroid through certain types of medications. But you can damage the conversion of T4 to T3, called functional hypothyroidism, with, oddly enough, soy proteins. So if you're taking soy protein, something called lecithin, in any of what you're eating, it will raise your cholesterol. So instead of throwing something at you, he probably should have spent, or she should have spent, a little bit more time asking you what your habits were, because most people will end up doing things that will damage them. What else can cause the thyroid not to work right? Too little testosterone in your system. It's called a functional hypothyroidism. Too little progesterone, also functional hypothyroidism. And then autoimmune thyroid disease, things like Hashimoto's, which antibodies to the enzymes, the converting enzymes and the transport proteins, can in fact cause this. Now, that's an oversimplification of what can happen with thyroid. And the reason I say that is this. Where does thyroid hormone work? It doesn't work on the cell membrane. So the amount of thyroid hormone in the blood may not, and in fact does not, tell the whole story. And this is where figures lie and liars figure. So they look at your thyroid, but they can't tell you what's happening in the cell nucleus, which is where this stuff acts. So in order for thyroid hormone to get to the cell nucleus, it has to be transported across the cell membrane. That's a process that can be very complicated, and in fact, it can be boogered up. But let's assume that it's not boogered up. Then it's got to be transported from the cell membrane to the nucleus itself. Lots of ways that can get messed up. Then getting it into the cell nucleus is another transport issue, and then comes the fun part, which is the effector zones of the genes that it's supposed to trigger. So there are lots of opportunities for you or anybody else to develop illnesses such as diabetes, hypothyroidism, Addison's disease on the basis of having transport issues. So what do I think? I think somebody's looking at this thing very, very simplistically. So, do I think that's the way to go? I would be looking at a whole lot more blood work and a little bit more study just to see what's going on with you.
There you go, Pam. All right, thanks. And your line is now available, 407-422-1212. If you have a question you'd like to ask of the doc, like Pam just said from Castleberry, we would love to hear from you. Or if you're a shy guy or gal and you'd like to text your question in, we can address it as well without putting you on the radio.
But we will put you on the spot.
On the spot. No,
Yes.
You can text in at 23680. Just pop your question to us that way if you like. So, Dr. Klein.
Yep.
COVID.
So how does this relate to COVID, right? How does any of this relate to COVID?
It all relates to COVID.
It all relates to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very difficult to parse, separate, to dissect away one disease state from your being. Why do you need to have a temperature that is going to be between 97.6 and 99.6? 97.6 at 4 a.m. and 99.6 sometime during the day.
Is that where your body's functioning properly?
Well, it's more interesting than that.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, it has to function properly, but why would it vary? And the answer is because our body operates on something called, there's a whole bunch of different enzymes that have Tmaxes. These are temperatures upon which they are maximally effective or efficient.
Okay.
So in terms of evolution, our temperature, which is different from a dog, cat, bird, or any other mammal for that matter, deals with a summation of all of these enzymatic reactions. So why does it change? If there's one that's best, why does it change? Teleologically, here's the answer. Your nerve tissue works best at a temperature that's somewhat lower than the muscle. Your immune system works best at a temperature somewhat higher than that. So when you get an infection, what's the first thing the typical person does? Is they develop a fever, because the immune system works best at 101 degrees, but the brain does not. So at 101 degrees, the muscles ache, the brain stops working properly, but your immune system is doing its job. But the brain itself operates at a much lower temperature, so it will lower that, especially during the evening hours. So when you're sleeping, it'll drop to 97 and change. That is when the brain does its defragging. It does all manners of work while you think it's doing nothing.
Oh, I know it is
So,
in my brain.
Yeah, and those of you that are athletes, what's that all about? Well, the first thing you do as an athlete is you warm up. Why? Because muscles work best at a temperature of about 100 degrees. So if you are hypothyroid and the thyroid has one function, and that is setting basal metabolic rate, and it's too low, what do you think that does to your immune system?
It
trashes it.
Yeah.
So individuals that are hypothyroid or not being treated for thyroid, or that are not being properly diagnosed, are at increased risk not only for COVID-19, but for every other infection that there is. So get the darn thing checked and get it done properly. Not this, well, gee, your TSH is okay, therefore you're fine. Okay, that's an upper deck on the Titanic. Okay, you're just going to be a little bit, bit further down it's just the way it goes.
A little bit longer.
Just a little bit longer before you get real cold. So what do you want to do? You have got to look these things over. The adrenal glands, wickedly important for infection control. How do you know if you have an adrenal issue? Well, I can't tell. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and can't get back to bed. And when I do wake up, I feel really, really irritable and I haven't slept. It's called adrenal fatigue. Again, you're at increased risk for infection. So there are a bunch of these things that you really need to do to make it through these sorts of pandemics. In fact, to make it through any type of an epidemic, whether it's influenza, common cold. People die of the cold every year.
Oh, I know.
Every year we lose people due to cold. It's just the way that it works. You develop pneumonia and off you go.
Ready to switch gears?
Of course.
Kathy is checking in from Orlando. Hi, Kathy. How are you? Go ahead and ask the doc your question.
Oh, hi, Dr. Klein. I'm wondering what your opinion is about something. I got a flyer in the mail about Coolsculpt. It's something about freezing fat tissue or liposuction for tummies.
Okay. Coolsculpting has been around for a long time. And what you do is you go ahead and you freeze the fat cells. It's like wearing I don't know. It's like one of these suicide bomber vests. Okay, so it wraps around your belly and these things freeze. Does it work? And the answer is yes, it does. Okay, the technique is not that expensive. It's not that cheap either. The problem with it is it can cause some nerve damage because you can go after the fat easily enough. That works beautifully. You wash it out, you lose some weight. But sometimes you end up with dimpling. You end up with these square-like areas that go across your belly from where the blocks were, from where the device was. But if you happen to hit ilioinguinal, iliohypogastric, genitofemoral nerves. If you happen to hit one of those three nerves just the wrong way, you're going to have persistent pain afterwards. So look up nerve injury following Coolsculpting, and you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about.
Cool. Thanks, Kathy. I think the answer's no on the sculpting.
Well, it depends.
I think so.
Yeah, actually, there's a newer technique that's coming out now that may be better.
So if you go ahead and hang on to the radio through the break, Kathy will tell you about a newer type of tummy tucking.
Okay.
All right. So thanks for the call, hon. All right, we're going to take a break. Okay. And find out about something better than liposuction. Is that for real?
Yeah. Well, liposuction can be really dangerous.
Yeah, I know. That's why I thought we could take the call, because you were talking about colds killing people. That stuff can kill people too.
Yeah.
You ready to take a break?
Yeah.
We'll be right back. It's only going to be a couple of minutes. I promise. Besides, people on the internet are waiting for your profound information. So.
Yeah, let's see if we can't confuse them now.
Oh, you want to confuse people on the internet?
No, I just seem to.
No, hold on. Here we go. And we'll be right back. Stages of Life Radio. Oh, who do you want to confuse on the internet?
Well, I don't know. What do we got?
Happy, healthy New Year.
Thank you.
If someone with untreated hypothyroid, normal temperature 976, gets the vaccine, will it work? Will they react badly?
They may not. You
may not react
get
at
it
all.
anyway.
Just try
get
it.
Just get it, okay? Because it's going to improve your chances of survival. If your average afternoon temperature is 97.6, you do in fact have hypothyroidism. It needs to be treated. Getting it treated before you get the vaccine, you're looking at risk-benefit analysis. I've been treating thyroid disease now for 40 years. So my patients, except for the new ones, are where they need to be. So they'll do fine, but 97.6, way too low in spite of any of the parameters. So yeah, but get the darn vaccine. Just do it. Just do it. No. While you're doing that, what else can you do to improve your chances? One is you want to keep handy something called licorice root extract. Now, licorice root extract contains a substance called glycerizic acid. Glycerizic acid is an oral antiviral that works for these types of viruses. It's cheap. $10 will buy you, two persons worth of glycerizic acid for this. The second thing you want to take is called lactoferrin-containing colostrum. Now, this is gamma globulin. This is what we in the animal kingdom use to protect our neonates. That's the calf, the lamb, the child. So when you get this through breast milk, but you can take it by mouth. Not all colostrums are appropriate. You want to get the ones made from New Zealand because they have the lactoferrins intact. Domestically, they remove them and sell them separately for a lot more money. Yeah.
All right.
This reminds me of when I when I used to
Super fly.
when I used to work on 14th
When I
Street.
used to work on 14th
DC.
Street as a pimp in DC,
No, I was not a
had
pimp.
5
I was
girls.
a musician in a house of ill repute.
See, same difference.
I know. Yeah, I didn't know it. I was 14, 15 years old. I thought the waitresses were just friendly.
Well, you missed that joke, people. Unless you're watching us on the social
Yeah, what a
media.
joke.
Oh, yeah, well, either way, thanks for joining us every Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock for Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein. He's got 5 board certifications, and he works right out of beautiful Longwood, just off of I-4 and 434. You can check him out at stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com. And I'll tell you what, Doc, before the break, Kathy was asking about Coolsculpt, which came to her mind because she got a flyer in the mail.
Well, and that's fine. I mean, these flyers are okay. There's nothing wrong with them.
Nothing wrong with advertising.
But there are 2 generations of technology since Coolsculpting for this type of process. And so you can go out there, and if you do a little bit of shopping, you'll be able to figure it out. The one that I happen to like is a combination of an electrical current and radio frequency. What it does is it heats up the fat tissue and then stimulates the muscles underneath. And what will happen is this thing goes on for about a half an hour, and it's like doing 25,000 sit-ups. And you don't have to bother with
I'd
it.
like to volunteer for a kind of demonstration.
But the docs are charging about $2,500 for 3 treatments for these things. And is it worth it? And the answer is yes.
Okay.
So I would be looking for that here in Orlando. I was just recently approached to be the first ones around here to do it. I just don't feel like getting back into aesthetics. So I just had enough of it. My plate is full.
As it is, he's retired, but he's working.
I retired
6 days
20
a
years
week.
ago. Yeah, I'm 6 days a week, 7 days a week. What am I going to do? Work nights?
Right. 407-422-1212. We've got about one last segment here, about 10 minutes here left.
Sure enough.
To get some questions in. Who, off our text line here, who is competent at evaluating the thyroid?
Okay, brilliant question, difficult answer. Really depends on where you are.
Okay.
So without knowing what part of town you're in, it's hard to do this. Generally speaking, I would be looking for an MD or a DO that is involved in something called functional medicine, anti-aging medicine, functional medicine, and these others, because you pay closer attention to the nutritional as well as the comorbid issues. If you go to an endocrinologist, you're probably going to be put on a treadmill of not a pharmaceutical treadmill. Well, here's your Synthroid, get better, and then we'll see you in a year. It doesn't really work very well.
Okay.
So who do you talk to?
Yes.
I've been treating thyroid disease for 40 years. That's what I do. But I don't know where you live, okay, and that presents a problem. My most distant patient at this point lives in London. That is a bummer. Okay, so she has to fly over every 6 months, but she doesn't really care so much.
That's quite a hike. But
that really stinks. But so it really depends on what you're doing. But look around for functional medicine or anti-aging medicine and start there. But be careful. What you're looking for is an MD or DO. You want people with training, somebody that has the degrees after their name. What else we got?
It looks like, Polly.
Stages of Life Radio.
Hey, look at that. We got the
got Linda.
operator. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to put her for a second and let her go ahead and get that.
That was
right.
pretty good.
Well, that's what I said.
Wrong button.
Operators are on duty.
Well, that's how we check, actually.
That's how I make sure. Is this thing working? That worked out really
Yeah.
well, actually. 23680 is the text line. Oh, we've got so many people watching us on Facebook and Periscope and all that, which is good. I appreciate that.
That's not that TikTok thing, is it?
No, we don't.
Good.
I
Okay,
don't.
we don't do TikTok.
I don't work. I don't
No
do
TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Whatever
What's
it is.
TikTok?
Tea time. I don't do that.
I don't know. I get them all confused.
Do you golf?
Do I have to?
No.
Good.
See, that's a weird thing about this doc. He doesn't golf.
No, it's not so weird.
No.
Yeah,
It is
one,
weird.
One of my patients, a very, very famous golf pro, teaching pro.
Oh.
And so, I took care of him, took care of his kid, took care of his wife, took care of his students, some of which are very, very well-known golfers, mostly females, actually, the ones that went to him. And so I asked him one day, I said, look, should I go out and learn to play golf? What do you think of the idea? And he goes, hell no. He said, it's just going to make you unhappy.
Why is that, Doc?
Why? Because it's going to frustrate you. So I thought about it, and it's his industry. So he comes to me and asks me my opinion. I'm going to ask him his, and so that's how I left it.
Okay.
So no, I don't do that.
All right, fair enough.
Smart dude too.
Really? Really? Sarah, who asked you earlier about an untreated thyroid, says she wants you to know she does take colostrum
Good.
daily as per your recommendation.
Good.
Our guest host on Good Morning Orlando this past week or two, Simon Conway, did have the coronavirus, and they gave him exactly what you said, Paquinil and the zinc.
Yeah. Well,
and
you should be
the
taking
colostrum.
You should be taking the colostrum, the zinc, the vitamin D anyway.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and the vitamin D, yeah.
You have to do it. Why the vitamin D? Why do you think you need to take vitamin D? Because 40% of the population is vitamin D deficient, and that impairs the immune system. So taking more vitamin D doesn't make you better. It just simply allows your immune system to work. Why? What's so special about zinc? Zinc deficiency, 35% of the population. So if you're in that 35%, wouldn't you know it's going to help you? So don't take too much zinc.
Yeah, don't overdo it.
Too much zinc can cause you to lose your sense of smell.
Apparently, according to our wonderful
like
operator on duty, we have a good question here.
They're all good.
That's what I thought. But
Yeah.
this one must be an exceptional question.
Okay.
Hi, Pauline. Turn your radio down. Okay. Hi, you and your husband had COVID in October. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, turn that radio all the way down and listen to your phone for me.
Okay, so Pauline, the question I have for you,
First of all, 'cause she doesn't know all of the question yet.
okay, how do you know that you had COVID? What testing did they do?
Because my husband was in rehab after a pacemaker,
Okay,
and I was staying there 24/7.
got it.
And all of a sudden, I woke up from a nap, and I was severely dizzy. And
Okay, did they do the testing for it? Is really the question I wanted to know.
So my daughter picked me up and took me to an urgent care clinic,
All right.
and they did that and said you have COVID.
All right. So they tested you. You found it through testing. And the reason I'm asking is many people go, well, I was so sick I had to have had colostrum. Or COVID. I had to have COVID. Nah, not so much. Okay, so if they tested you and you tested positive, that means something to me.
Right.
So both you and your husband got it. And one of the funny things about rehab, one of the funny things about the hospitals is they refused for the longest time to test their own doctors, nurses, and staff for COVID.
Okay. Then 3 weeks after they tested positive and had it, they tested negative.
Okay.
Yes, we tested negative.
But you had no real symptoms other than when you woke up from a nap, you felt bad?
No, that's fine. The symptoms aren't even material.
Right.
No. I was dizzy, very dizzy. I couldn't turn my head left or right.
Okay.
Neither one of us ever had a fever or a cough.
Okay. Well, here's what's important about this. The symptomatology is not important to the way I'm going to answer this. The way that you test people afterwards. So in other words, the first time you went in there, they probably did an antibody test on you because that's what they do in the urgent care centers. They may have done the antigen, which is a problem with false negatives. But if it came back positive, it means you had it. The body will continue to shed the virus for 10 to 14 days, and then it stops. So if you recheck the person at 14 days and it's negative, it doesn't mean that you didn't have the disease. It means that you've cleared or you're not shedding the virus any longer. So when we use the PCR, which is the gold standard testing for this, and of the PCRs, there's a whole family of these things that'll work.
Should they get the vaccines?
Yes.
Get the vaccine.
Is
Get
that
tested.
the real question?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was like, why'd I turn negative?
Hey, Pauline, thank you so much. Get the vaccine for you and your husband. They're
Yes,
80 and
ma'am.
84. And
Get it. You may not make it
just
through the
get
next
it.
time.
Hey, we'll be back again next Sunday taking your questions live right here on Stages of Life Radio. I think it's time to say goodbye, Doc.
Hasta luego.
All righty then. Love you all. We'll see you.
You've been listening to Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein. Check out stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com or stop by 1917 Booth Circle in Longwood near the intersection of I-4 and 434. Call 407-679-3337. That's 407-679-3337. Dr. Klein accepts most insurance and Medicare too. Join us next Sunday at 4 p.m. on News Radio WFLA Orlando.
This hour, we're having a salute to a recording artist who says that his biggest source of inspiration was the airwaves, Stevie Wonder.
My greatest influence was radio. It was my greatest friend in that. Broadcasting live from the United States of America. You're listening to the Living Sexy Radio Network, playing the sexiest music on the planet.